Good afternoon and welcome to today's session of Imagine America Radio, our continuing Career College Exposition webinar series. My name is Lee Doubleday and I'm with the Imagine America Foundation. I'm excited about today's webinar with Lincoln Tech. Lincoln Tech has 22 campuses located throughout the United States, and these campuses have been educating tomorrow's workforce since 1946 and are accredited by the Accrediting Commission of Career Schools and Colleges. On today's webinar, we will be discussing Lincoln Tech's Denver campus. This campus has an amazing history of graduating successful technicians for auto, diesel, HVAC, welding, and collision repair industries. Lincoln Tech is also a 20-year sponsor of the Imagine America Scholarship and Award programs, having provided admissions-based financial aid to more than 10,000 enrolling Imagine America students. Without taking valuable time from our presenter, let me refer any and all inquiries about the Imagine America Foundation to our website, which is www.imagine-america.org. Joining us today to discuss career and technical education is Josh Kean. Josh is Lincoln Tech's high school ambassador. He has a passion for working with his hands and has been helping students reach their career goals with Lincoln Tech for over 6 years. We're excited to have Mr. Kean join us today to chat with you about career and technical educational opportunities for your graduating high school seniors. Before turning the program over to Mr. Kean, let me outline today's agenda. Today's session of Imagine America Radio will be approximately 30 minutes long, with polls during the presentation for you to answer and engage with our presenter. All participants can submit questions while the presentation is in session via the Q&A chat feature in this Zoom meeting. At the end of the presentation, I will then present any questions offered by the participants, and we will address as many questions as possible and provide written responses and follow-up emails. So, without taking any more time out of today's presentation, let me turn today's session over to Josh Kean. Josh, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Lee. I appreciate it. And I'd like to thank Imagine America for having us here today. I'd also like to thank our educators that are here with us this afternoon. Today, my goal is to educate you on what we do here at Lincoln Tech and talk to you a little bit about what we do when we come and talk to your high school seniors in our classroom presentations. As Lee said earlier, there will be some polls that will be launched throughout the presentation. And if you wouldn't mind to go ahead and participate in those and make this as interactive as we possibly can, I would greatly appreciate it. So moving along, I'm sure most of you guys are familiar with what the skills gap is, but if you're not, there is a gap that exists between the skills employers want in their team members and the skills that most of today's workforce currently have. And these skills, can't be built out of four-year college or university. Here at Lincoln Tech, we've been turning graduates out into the skilled trades for 74 years. When we come into the classroom, our goal is to get your students thinking. So I want to give you a quick overview of the Denver campus. We've got about 200,000 square feet of classroom and training space. We have 60 fully equipped auto training bays that feature 18 lifts. We have an outdoor HVAC greenhouse for hands-on energy efficiency testing. We have 90 individual welding booths that have all of their own welders in them, and housing options for students that are looking to relocate. Now, our presentation is geared around several things. The first, and I think the most important, is defining a pathway to success. Now, our presentations are currently they're being done both in person and via Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Google Classroom. Quite honestly, we're able to really fit whatever platform you're currently using. So the first thing we like to talk about is defining a pathway to success, researching career paths, post-secondary educational opportunities, managing a budget. And now this is one of my favorite parts of the presentation. You talk about money and the kids really start to, the minds start to move. They start to think about what they want. And, when I'm going through that presentation, I always ask them, how many of you just want to get by in life, right? Show of hands, and no hands ever go up, right? And, I'm talking about, that means, no more new tires for your vehicles, no movie dates, no latest and greatest hunting or fishing gear, none of that, right? It's just enough money for you to be able to get by and pay your bills with nothing extra. We talk about the value of a post-secondary education, starting a career versus a job. And for our educators here, you understand what it's like to have a career, right? 20, 30 years, you're able to retire, you have healthcare, you have 401ks, you have pensions. And a job is just that, right? You're just over broke. You're moving from, place to place. You're chasing that, 25-cent raise, 50-cent raise, or a dollar raise. You're not there long. So we really talk to the students about, the difference in between the two. And then obviously we're going to talk about financial aid and scholarships. We're going to get into the scholarship stuff here in just a little bit. But it's important for our students today to understand that money isn't as big as an obstacle as they make it out to be able to afford an education. And at the end of the day, we all know that this is an investment in their future. And it's important that they understand that because over their lifetime, they're going to be able to recoup that initial investment. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is success. And I'd like to give you the definition of what success is. And success, the accomplishment of an aim or a purpose. And, really and truly at the end of the day, that's what our high school seniors are trying to figure out. They're trying to figure out their purpose, how to get there. And we like to break it down by a couple of things. Number one, we want you to define your definition of success. It's going to be different for each individual person. And that's perfectly fine, but you have to be able to define what it is. And then you have to visualize it. Can you see down the road 3 years, 5 years, and what does that success look like to you? And then obviously we want to plan for it and then have a backup plan for it, because as we all know, life is funny. It throws lots of curveballs at you, and it really never works out the way that we initially anticipated. So one of my favorite quotes is the one that's right up there by Anthony Robbins. And it says, there's a powerful driving force inside every human being that once unleashed can make any vision, dream, or desire a reality. And I think that's very important, right? All of our high school seniors, they have a vision, they've got a dream. Some are just maybe they lack a little bit of motivation, right? And our job when we come into your classroom is to really reinforce the things that you're telling them, right? That you have to have a plan, you have to have an education, or you have to have a skill set so that when you leave mom and dad's house, you have a way to support yourself. And then down there at the bottom, you see that picture, right? And we talk about success. You're going to face lots of problems and obstacles, and you're going to crash and burn, and you're going to face difficulties and troubles. But at the end of the day, we learn through our failures, and you're going to reach that success eventually down the line. So that's the first thing that we really like to start with when we set the tone from the beginning. And it really gets the students thinking. Lots of engagements come just by asking a student, what does success look like to you? And for you educators here today, I would encourage you to do that same exercise with yourself, right? Can you define your success? Can you visualize it? And do you really have a plan for your long haul in order to be successful? Now, this next slide is super interesting. I've got some interesting facts that I'd like to let you read. I'm not going to read each and every one of them. I'm going to read a couple of them. But the graph that I also have up here, this is a survey from companies that are related to the skilled trades. And when they look at setting their corporate strategies, the number one thing at 81% of these companies are looking for is long-term workforce planning. And why is that? Well, in today's world, our people that are in the skilled trades, so automotive technicians, CNC machinists, HVAC technicians, electricians, our workforce is aging out. We don't have enough youth that wants to get into hands-on careers. So our companies are really and truly trying to figure out a way to get these students to want to be hands-on and work for a company, that has a skilled trade. And, one of my favorite things is I started out as a high school admissions rep with Lincoln, and, I saw this every day. But when you walk into a CTE class and you talk to these kids, they're happy, they're excited to be in these classes. And the one stat that really stood out to me was that 80% of CTE students say that it helped them know where they were headed. And I think that's really important, right? Our CTE classes give our students a real kind of like opportunity to try it before they buy it type, mentality. They can get their hands dirty. They can get in these classes and really see what it's all about. And at the end of the day, it's going to help them decide whether or not they feel that the automotive industry is right for them, the diesel industry is right for them. So, 95% of CTE students that graduate high school, which is 10% higher than the national average. Again, it's given these students a purpose to be in school, really kind of just find their way. So again, just some nice, interesting facts on why CTE education is so important. Now, I'm sure most of you have heard of the skills gap, and if you haven't, I'm going to walk you through it here. So by 2028, employers across the country are projected to add more than 3 million jobs in fields that you can train for here at Lincoln Tech. And as we go around and we just take a look at these job openings, or the available jobs that are projected to be opening here over the next 8 years, 160,000 collision technicians, 740 automotive technicians, 442 diesel and heavy equipment technicians. And when you think about this, 2020 has really taught us a lot about what it means to be an essential employee, right? As people were being laid off, as people were no longer able to provide for their families, and they had the stresses of where, they're trying to figure out how and where they're going to find groceries. These people, HVAC technicians, automotive technicians, electricians, and welders, they were all gainfully employed, right? We never stopped building infrastructure. People never stopped building homes. And if I just take a look at the diesel industry for just a second, everything we have and everything we do truly revolves around this industry, right? From our roads to the buildings to our food. Everything has had its life cycle through diesel at one point or another, which is why it's so important for us to make sure that we are we have enough technicians that are going to be out there to maintain these trucks. Or, in the dead of the winter when your heat goes out, I don't know how to go fix my heating element, or I don't know how to go do my air conditioning work, right? First thing I'm gonna do is pick up the phone and I'm gonna call an HVAC technician. And for those of you that had to make that call, you can understand that that's not a cheap call to make at 2:00 in the morning. So tons and tons of opportunity out there for our graduating high school seniors here. So moving on, I'd like to just talk a little bit about our history. So Lincoln Tech's been around since 1946. So like I said, we've had 74 years of career training. We initially got started back when our World War II veterans were returning, and we were looking to have some marketable skills to re-enter the workforce. And that's where Lincoln got its start. Lincoln has graduated over 250,000 students from 22 campuses in 14 states. And these students have a variety of different skills. So HVAC, auto, diesel, healthcare, and they're able to get out and launch careers that they truly love. So let's talk a little bit about the Denver campus specifically. Again, located in Denver, Colorado, and then the programs that we have to offer: automotive, collision, diesel and truck, heating and air conditioning, and welding technology. So at Lincoln Tech, we're a premier technical educator, right? Our job for your students, or our goal for your students, is to get them in and get them trained up in as little time as possible. So most of our programs range between 8 and 13 months. It's very hands-on teaching. We have a career services and job placement assistance both while a student is in school and upon graduation. We have instructors with professional real-world experience, national and local advisory boards. I think that's very important to mention. When there's changes within this industry, our advisory boards are the ones that saying, hey, you need to adjust your curriculum to meet these changing demands within the industry. And then financially and scholarships available to those who qualify. I'm going to spend a little bit more time on the scholarship search here in just a little bit. So let's do a quick breakdown of the programs. So one of the main differences here at Lincoln versus a community college is that our programs are much shorter. When you go to a community college, you can expect at a minimum to spend at least 2 years. In some, I would say most kids are that 2.5 to 3 year mark. Our programs range anywhere between 60 to 65 credit hours. So they're getting the exact amount of credits that they would be at the community college, but we're not taking the math, the English, the science, and the social studies. Now, we do have an associate's program, as you can see, and within the diesel and automotive industry or the program, you're able to graduate in 16 months. So it's still significantly less time spent in a classroom. Our diploma program for the diesel program is 13 months, NATEF certified, engine rebuild and diagnostics, transmissions, welding and hydraulics. Our HVAC program is only 10 months. So essentially a student could graduate high school and in 10 months be out into the workforce, right? And he's going to graduate before your seniors, your 2021 or your 2022 seniors graduate high school. So he can essentially graduate high school and college in almost the same year. They're going to learn heating, AC, refrigerator, residential and commercial applications, and then green technology. And then as far as the automotive program, again, 13 months, lots of auto bays, auto lifts, and alignment racks. Our welding program is 8 months. It's an AWS curriculum. You've got welding, you've got welding procedures, blueprint reading, and then on the collision side, 12-month diploma program and a 17-month associate's degree. Our collision program is really cool. It's a blended learning format, so students are only in class for 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday. And every day that they show up, they're working with these things right here. So all the classwork, all the tests, the quizzes, they're done outside of class, giving kids more opportunity to actually get out into the workforce, experience it, and kind of get some on-the-job training with their program. Now, I'm sure that most of you can recognize all of these affiliations that are right here. You've got Chevy, you've got Crown Lifts, Miller, Caterpillar, Ryder, Kenworth, John Deere, Nissan, Corvette. These are all companies that we specifically work with. Through our 74 years of history, you can imagine what type of relationships that we have built to help our graduates enter into the workforce. So now that we're talking about career services, I think this is the second thing that really separates us from a community college, where our focus is to make sure that that student gets a great education, number one, but number two, that he walks out gainfully employed. Now, how do we do that? We talk about personal branding, and that really starts in the classroom. When that student walks in to your high school, to your classroom, he is displaying his personal brand, right? The way he talks, the way he walks, the way that he interacts with people. And we really talk about that when we're in the high schools, especially that social media presence. So when they're there, we give them access to the job search boards. We get them with online portfolios, and we really try to rein in that social media presence and really, help them understand that once you put it out there, it's out there. It's out there for everybody to see. It's out there for future employers to see. And I think that message is important to spread to our high school seniors today. We connect our students with employers. We have 2 career fairs a year that typically average, 60 plus employers. It happens in May and October. We have employer presentations. We do field visits. And then we also have part-time job placements while our students are attending Lincoln Tech. We also do resume building and interview prep. So most of our students, they are great with these. They know how to work with their hands, but when it comes to the soft skills, it's definitely a work in progress. So we take them and we make sure that they know how to answer questions, that they're prepped well when they walk into these interviews, so that when they get finished, they're confident about that conversation that they just had with their dream employer. We teach them how to fill out applications, really trying to get them to understand that there is a hidden job market out there. And then, of course, obviously, with the 74-year history we have, we've got lots of access to different employers. Now, the biggest reason that separates us, I think, from a community college is our results, right? Just like all of you, when you went to college, you picked the place that you felt was going to give you the most success or put you in the best position to be successful 15 years down the line. And really and truly, that's what we're doing here at Lincoln Tech. If you take a look at our screen here and you look at some of the programs that we offer, our collision repair, nearly 9 out of 10 students are being placed out into the workforce. HVAC, 4 out of 5. Diesel and truck, nearly 9 out of 10. Welding, 4 out of 5. automotive 4 out of 5. These are awesome results. So that if a student comes here for the right reasons, they attend class, they're doing everything that they can on their end, they have an opportunity to walk out and be very successful. Most students, when they attend our program, they're getting those good grades or showing up every day. There's more than one opportunity for them. Our problem is not finding the employers. Our problem truly is finding enough people that want to be in the skilled trades. Now, housing. This is always a sticking point, right? For those of you that went away to college, just like myself, you're 18 years old, you're like, wow, this is my first time away from home. This right here is an actual picture of an apartment complex that we work with. So we work with a company called Collegiate Housing Services. And typically the way that it's set up is it's 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartments with 4 students to a room. So it's still kind of that dorm style living, but it's off campus, right? And these are the complexes. They get access to the weight room or any amenity that the complex can offer. And I think that's important for students to realize when they're coming here. Lincoln Tech is a full service campus. We offer housing. You're going to get an education. Some campuses have cafeterias. So there's a little bit different that each campus has to offer. So here in Denver, we work with the Collegiate Housing Services Company. Now, financial aid. This is really a sticking point, and I mentioned it earlier, where a lot of students feel that they're unable to attend school because they can't afford it. And I hear that quite often as I talk to families and students. And, one of the things that, I encourage our students to do, and I'm sure you guidance counselors are doing, is tell them to fill their FAFSAs out, right? See what you're eligible for in student loans and grants and, different types of opportunities. Here at Lincoln Tech, we spread that same message. So when we come into the classroom, we want our students to fill the FAFSA out. We want them to see their eligibility and really and truly break down that affordability to be able to go to college. Financial aid is made up of grants and cash and parental loans and scholarships, which is, something that I think a lot of students kind of let go by the wayside. Student loans, institutional loans. But I think it's really important for me to mention to you is that over 90% of all students attending Lincoln Tech qualify for federal student aid. So there is an opportunity for these students to truly afford the investment in their future. So scholarships, this is just purely effort-based. And there's a lot of options here for us at Lincoln Tech. Lincoln is going to award over $14 million in grants and scholarships to qualified students nationally. In addition to all of that money, there's more money out there available through programs like Skills USA and FFA, right? So if a student competes at the state, the regional, the national level in either of those two organizations, there's anywhere between a $500 participation scholarship and a full tuition scholarship based upon where they go at each level. We're here with Imagine America today. There's scholarships available through their foundation. MicroWorks is another great organization that really wants to help our students afford an education that want to get out into the skilled trades. And then we have our own scholarship test. It's a 20-question test where the student gets 20 minutes to take that test. And that student can earn anywhere between $1,000 and $15,000 by just taking that test. So if any of you guys are interested here today to send that scholarship link out to all of your high school seniors, be more than happy to get that link in your hands. And again, that's anywhere between $1,000 and $15,000. It's a 20-question test. The student gets 20 minutes to take that test. Again, when we talk about affordability, it's a great opportunity right there for a student to be able to really kind of start their scholarship search. Now, as far as our application process, how does a student actually get accepted to Lincoln Tech? We have a closed application process. So if you go on our website, you're not going to find anywhere that says, apply, pay your application fee or anything like that. What we do is we typically send an admissions representative out to meet with that family. In 2020, we're doing everything via Zoom right now, just like all of you are. And our interviews are designed to determine students' eligibility for recommendation to the program. At the end of the day, I want our admissions representatives to make sure that they're putting your graduating high school seniors in the best position to be successful down the line. If the student's not the right fit for us, we're going to give him a recommendation on where he can go to maybe find a different option that really suits his needs. During the Zoom conference, mom and dad have to be present, right? They got to have that support system. We ask them for letters of recommendation, if they have a transcript that they can easily grab, resume, dress appropriately, and truly be prepared for this interview. Here at Lincoln Tech, we do not have a GPA requirement, right? It wouldn't make sense for us to have that. If our students typically don't excel well in math and English and science, but get A's and B's in their auto tech classes or their agriculture classes, what good does that do for us to look at their GPA when we know at the end of the day, they work way better with these hands? So I've enjoyed my time here today with you all, and really appreciate you guys being here with us to learn a little bit about what we do at Lincoln Tech. So right now we are scheduling our Road to Success presentations, both virtually and in person. And there's a couple ways that you can schedule that. Number one, you can pull out that cell phone and you can scan that QR code that is sitting right here next to me. All right, and it'll have some information on there. You fill it out, you put your number, email address, and I'll make sure that I get an admissions representative to contact you within 48 hours. You can always email me, jkeehan@lincolntech.edu, or you can simply just shoot me a text, and all my contact information is right here on this slide. So again, I appreciate everybody's time. And then Lee, I'd like to open it up for some questions.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Josh, for your presentation today. We are going to be opening the question and answer portion of our session. So if you do have a question, feel free to use the Q&A feature in this Zoom meeting. And it does look like we have had a question that comes in. This person wants to know, if I use Google Meets in my classroom, can I have someone come into my classroom and present?
Yeah, that's a great question. From everything that we have seen, we are able to use multiple platforms. So Google Classroom, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, and we're able to come in and present in any of those.
Okay, another question, this person wants to know, do you require the SAT or the ACT scores?
Currently, we do not have an ACT or an SAT requirement.
Okay, I have another question. This person wants to know, if we wanted to talk to one of Lincoln Tech's local representatives, should we go to the Lincoln Tech website or can we contact you directly?
I would urge you just to contact me directly and let me get your information in the hands of the correct admissions representative. And again, I've left my contact information up right here on the screen for all of you. So you can take a picture of it and you can scan that QR code, whatever is most convenient for you.
Yeah, we will also send Josh's contact information along with the recording of this session after this is over. Another question, someone wants to know if you have any upcoming events or virtual tours available.
Yes, currently we are conducting virtual tours. I can send you that link. We've got new student events, which is a really awesome thing for some of you to take a look at. I know it's an awesome event for our students where, we're able to have employers from all across the country join us via Zoom, along with graduates from our programs. And they talk about, what the value of an education is from Lincoln Tech. And the employers talk about what they're looking for and why they hire Lincoln Tech graduates. So it's the virtual events are really awesome. And I would encourage, if this is something that you're interested in attending, you just reach out to me and I'd be more than happy to invite you in on one of these events.
Okay, great. And one other thing that I want to make sure that I mention is that we are actually going to be hosting a virtual presentation for your graduating high school seniors at your high school with Lincoln Tech on November 11th. So I will make sure that I send you the invitation for that meeting as well with the recording of this presentation, so that if you liked anything you heard here today, you can have your high school seniors register for the event that we're hosting with them. Another question has come in and wants to know if there's currently an application fee.
There is not currently an application fee.
Okay, and how early can a student start school?
Well, they've got to have their high school diploma. So once they graduate high school or once they have their GED, they're ready to rock and roll.
Okay, and do you provide support for undocumented students?
That's a great question. We have got some opportunities for students that may be undocumented, and it varies for each campus. There is support there for them. And if you'd like to talk a little bit more into detail about that, again, my contact information is right here on this screen.
Yeah, Monica, I will connect you with Josh after the presentation. Okay, so just a few closing items here. I just want to thank all of you for participating with us today and taking time out of your busy schedules. I will be sending a recording of this presentation along with the link that you can send to your students to apply for the scholarship that was mentioned earlier in this presentation with Lincoln Tech. And I would also like to thank Josh for sharing with us today's presentation and encourage each and every one of you to contact him directly with any future questions. On behalf of the Imagine America Foundation and Josh and Lincoln Tech, we want to thank you and goodbye.